Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Beat Your Addiction with John Giordano. I'm your co-host, Scott Jones. I want to thank everybody for joining us and remind you before we even get started to like this and certainly subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the bell so you can get alerts when we're having new podcasts and new shows going on. There's always something new or something different coming out of this end over here, so we want to make sure you guys are aware. But with that, John, we find ourselves in one of those moments where you've got to learn to adapt. Yes. We were going to do one show, and then all of a sudden everything changes because electronically sometimes things fail. And so now we find ourselves in an adaptive role, and that's being adaptable. I know we're going to talk about some other things, but being adaptable is a big part of success in recovery and in life, isn't it?
They have to roll with the punches.
Yeah.
So I think what Scott and I were talking about is we're going to take a different turn a little bit today. We're going to talk about treatment centers and insurance companies and pharmaceutical companies and what's going on with all that. A lot of people are trying to get into treatment. They can't get into treatment because their copays are like through the sky. I heard about one copay was $40,000 to get in. Why have insurance?
Well, yeah, sometimes it's because when people are buying or shopping for insurance, they're not looking at those things.
Right.
Because all they're looking at, I only have to pay $20 a month. Well, it's because you're not getting anything. So, some of that is that, and some of it is because they're really taxing people, especially on mental health and addiction treatment.
Yeah, it's really bad out there. And look at your policies real closely. If you have an issue, you believe you have an issue, you need to absolutely check to see your mental health benefits and your substance abuse benefits, and the copays, because otherwise you're not getting into treatment.
I hate to say it too, John, but if they're parents and you've got kids who are getting close to those teenage years or in those teenage years and stuff, pay attention to that stuff, because you might think I'm okay, but you want to protect your family too. So it's not just about you personally, but about the people that are on your policy.
And unfortunately, what's going on is insurance companies are calling the shots in how treatment's done. Now, what does that all mean? Well, real simple stuff. They'll tell you how long in treatment you have to be, okay? And if you're not sick enough, then you have to leave treatment. It's like the Wild Wild West out there. And unfortunately, treatment centers are doing their best to comply with everything and give good treatment, but their hands are tied. So what's going on is they're giving the best kind of treatment they can possibly get. But what's going on also is that treatment is 70 years behind the times. Now, what does that all mean? Well, let's look at going back 70 years, let's say up to 1950. There were two students. One was one was going to be a psychologist. The other one was going to be a psychiatrist. They had no experience, and they came up with a 28-day model. It's called the Minnesota model, and they sold it to the idea to Hazleton, and they brought it across, and the insurance companies picked it up. So now that was based on alcoholism, and as we all know, drugs are more pervasive than alcohol. And alcohol, it's over time. Drugs can happen immediately, damage the brain, and cause all kinds of different havoc. So that model, that 28-day model, really doesn't work very well. If you look at it as, here you are, you go to detox, you come out of detox, let's say it's 5-7 days, you're still spinning in your head, you got a clouded brain. Then you have to make a decision to go to treatment or not. Then maybe you make the right decision and wind up in treatment. And then what happens is for the first 2 weeks, you still don't even know what's going on. You can't put information together right because your brain is actually offline. Now, you may not understand that or know that, but believe me, I was in treatment. My brain was offline. And so was everybody else that I knew. Hopefully, you bond with a therapist and you get some work done, but then you have to leave. So the most important part is if you do continuing of care, to make sure you get to an outpatient or an intensive outpatient, so go at least 3 or 4 times a week. And then after that, go to aftercare. So you need a continuum of care if you want to get well. There's no quick fix to get well with addiction and alcoholism. And we're not just talking about drugs and alcohol. We're talking about eating disorders, anorexia, bulimia. We're talking about shopping addiction, gambling addiction. All of these other addictions, okay, they need time for your brain to start changing the behaviors, and you're detoxing off the drugs. It takes months to detox, and people they go to a detox center, right? It's not a detox center. It's a stabilization unit. Detox means to detoxify, all right? And most people don't realize that because they're putting in drugs to stabilize you. So they're putting in drugs. You're not detoxifying. You're getting stabilized. What they call stable.
Right, right.
And unfortunately, what happens is people don't stay in treatment long enough. And they've been using, like, say, 20 years, 10 years, 15 years, 5 years. 28 days is not going to change anything, really. It just scratches the surface. So you have to understand that. So if parents out there that have all these expectations, they're going to treatment, they're going to be well. No, doesn't work that way. It takes time. It took time to get sick, and it takes time to get well. And it's a process, not an event. So all of you have to understand that. But it's important to go to treatment to get that time out from using, changing the environment, learning about yourself, getting some information about what you need to do next, like an aftercare plan. If you just go to 28 days, go back into the same environment, you're going to relapse. I can tell you that right now. You have to go to an outpatient program, aftercare program, go to meetings, self-help groups. Very important to connect with people that are similar and are going in the same lifestyle as you, that you're starting off with. Otherwise, you're going to feel lost. You're going to get depressed. You're not going to know what's going on. And you got to start exercising to help with the depression. If you don't exercise, the depression's going to build up, and eventually you're going to get depressed, you're going to have anxiety, you're going to want to use and medicate everything.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't understand there are other conditions that cause depression and anxiety besides your thoughts. It's called a low thyroid, which can cause depression and anxiety. Check that out. Heavy metal toxicity. Heavy metals, mercury, antimony, all these heavy metals interfere with your brain computing information. So you can give the appearance of having attention deficit disorder or bipolar disorder. You have to check that out. Then you have what is known as leaky gut syndrome. Now, what does all this mean? Your gut, all right, is your second brain. And in your gut, leaky gut means that the wall in your gut, okay, gets perforated, and the food and the nutrients go in the wrong places. So you're going to become nutrient deficient, and that means your body's going to, and your brain's going to start tamping down, okay? Then you got H. pylori. It's another thing that causes depression and anxiety. You got closed head injuries. I know this seems overwhelming, but look, you got to look at the whole package. If you really, how well do you want to be? All right? If you really want to be well, you're going to have to start taking this a little at a time. And that's what you have to do. It's just the way it is. But there are things you could do. Drink a lot of water because addicts are volume depleted. Water is very essential, believe it or not, for thinking. All right? Why is that? Because first of all, it clears the toxins out. And remember, we're about, 70% water?
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Or coffee.
You gotta float. All right? And if you're drinking caffeine, a lot of caffeine, it's a diuretic. So you're getting rid of your water. So it's real important you drink water.
You got to say that just as I'm about to take a sip of my coffee, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. Now I feel bad.
Now, look, we spent years destroying our lives, our relationships, and everything. I know it could be very overwhelming, and it is overwhelming. We don't know what direction to go in. They tell us don't see old friends, don't go to old places. I don't know about you, but I was lost. I felt like, what is this? This is recovery. I want to die. I can't take this, you know? But I kept going to these meetings. I kept talking to people. I kept going to my aftercare. And slowly, I started to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But that was slowly. And I used to go in a group and I used to go, hey man, when is this going to get better? You know, I'm still feeling like I want to use. I'm still feeling depressed. I get anxiety thinking about what I'm going to do for money. And on and on and on and on and on. They said, John, did you use today? I said, no, it already getting better. I said, oh boy, listen to these people. But they were right. It was getting better. And it takes time. And that's the whole key. So your volume depleted means you don't drink enough water. And protein deficient. Now, protein helps with your brain chemistry. So it's very important that you eat enough protein. And you have to remember, your gut, your microbiome or your microbiota, whatever you want to call it, all right, is where dopamine and serotonin is manufactured. All right? Those are your feel-good drugs that we make naturally. And that's when addicts and people with other behaviors are seeking that dopamine rush, that feeling elated. All right? And remember, that dopamine and serotonin that's in the gut goes up the vagus nerve into the brain and deposits the dopamine and serotonin. So now, there's another thing we can possibly have. I don't want to overwhelm you, which I probably am, but it's called genetics. You may have the addiction gene, and there is an addiction gene. Now, if you do, that doesn't mean you have a life sentence of being an addict, okay, or remaining an addict, all right? But what it does mean is that you predispose for addiction. And there's such a thing called epigenetics. I know these are all fancy words. I had to learn them too. But epigenetics means your social environment, okay, can actually change what they call the gene expression. All right? So that means you don't have to become an addict or stay an addict. But there's life changes you have to do in recovery. It's not about just quitting drugs and alcohol. It's changing all these behaviors that we developed over time, the lying, the cheating, the manipulating, the stealing, all right, treating yourself like garbage, treating other people like that, because we don't just abuse ourselves, we abuse people, places, and things. And that's what addiction is really about. I mean, look, I'll be honest with you, I would still be using it if it didn't mess up my body, my head, and my behaviors that caused everybody who loves me, okay, to want to turn their back on me. Even though they didn't, you know, well, some of them did. But you got to do the work, man. There's no way out of this. You have anything to add, Scott?
Well, you covered about every topic out there in a few minutes. So I'm not sure where to go with that other than, you know, you need people around you. You need that kind of, you know, going into treatment opens the door. But you're not in the club. I mean, once you leave treatment, that's when what you learn there is your kickstart for what you're doing on the outside, and that's why they push different 12-step groups and self-help groups and continued therapy and continued treatment of some kind. I want to think about it this way: if you went to work and everyone at your office spoke English, and you were the one person who spoke Spanish and you did not speak English. So you can't communicate with people because you don't understand each other. And it's going to affect everything you're doing in that building. That's how life is for an addict when they come out. If they don't connect with other addicts and other people who are in recovery, they can't have those kind of conversations they need to have with people who weren't in those positions. Does that explain it pretty good, John?
Well, you know, the deal is this. If you when you go to these meetings, I found out that they don't judge you, you know? You talk to other people about addiction or how you're feeling. You come away feeling that they're judging you. They may be or may not be.
But you're going to feel that way anyway because you're judging yourself right when you're doing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Look, it's very difficult out there doing our best to stay in recovery, but you need to understand, okay, how was it when you weren't in recovery? How was it when you were using? I don't know about you, but I was alone, looking up at the ceiling, stoned out of my mind, okay? hurting my wife. I would disappear for days at a time, come back, say, I'm sorry, oh, please forgive me. Okay, and then a week later, a month later, I do it again. You know, my kids, my poor kids, I wasn't being the kind of father that I needed to be to them. I was too busy looking at John and feeling sorry for me and blaming everybody else for my condition. What you need to do is, what you learn in recovery is you have to take charge of yourself. In other words, you have to look at you, not everybody else. Because it's the way you approach things is what's going to make the difference. And me, you know, I didn't want to feel bad. I didn't want to feel pain. Oh, I don't have enough money. I don't have a job. Or, you know, later on, I didn't have a place to live. I was homeless. A friend of mine helped me out. And I'm saying, what is this? This is recovery. This is ridiculous. Okay? And the bottom line is that I kept looking at the glass half empty instead of half full. And eventually, a little bit by slowly, I listened to people who I didn't even know, okay? And because I always thought everybody was, excuse my expression, full of shit, because I was full of shit, okay? But I listened. Somehow, their words got through to me, and I kept putting one step ahead of the other, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, and my life began to change. And it was an amazing change. After I started recognizing that it was changing. It took me about a year to recognize I was changing, believe it or not. I'm a little slow, I guess. And, you know, everybody out there that's suffering from addictions, no matter what addiction it is, all right? And most people say, well, what is addiction? Well, it's real simple. It's when you continue to do a substance or a behavior in spite of adverse consequences. You know? It's like you got a container of milk in the refrigerator that's gone bad. And you taste it and you go, oh, this is no good. But then 2 days later you go back and drink the same damn thing again. And say to think, this is something's wrong with that. Okay? Either you're addicted to pain or you're addicted to milk. I don't know. But the bottom line is that's what we do as addicts. We know our life is unmanageable. We know life turns to crap. But we keep doing it because we can't stop, okay, on our own. You can stop with help. But first you got to reach out and get help. And most feel embarrassed. They feel like, oh, who's going to help me? Oh, those meetings. I don't want to go to those meetings. It's bullshit. Look, they're not bullshit. You're bullshit. The meetings don't fix you. Therapists don't fix you. You fix you. The only thing you're getting at the meetings and you're getting from a therapist is guidance and support. You got to do the work, man. It's like going to the gym, sitting down, leaving, and saying, I didn't get anything out of this. I mean, that's how retarded this is. All right? Bottom line, you have to do the work. All right? Otherwise, you're going to wind up in hospitals, okay, institutions, you're going to wind up dying. Now, some addicts go, like me, maybe I'm better off dying. If I died, everybody would be better off. That's not true, all right? I've been to a lot of funerals, and I hear that from people, I'm better off dying. They die, and I watch everybody suffer forever of the loss. Little kids looking in the coffin and going, why is Daddy sleeping in there? To me, that was like heart-wrenching. And women crying, and mothers crying, and fathers. No, that's the most selfish thing you could do. I know sometimes you may think that this life dealt you a bad deck, okay, of cards, but no. You can change that. But you have to be willing to change it. Look, I'm in recovery now 36 years. Oh my God. I couldn't get 36 minutes, man. I'm a street kid. I didn't trust anybody. Everybody's full of shit. Everybody's got some kind of agenda, okay? No, it was me that wasn't trustworthy. It was me that had the agenda. You know, and I know it's tough out there. You can do it. You really can. Look, I look at it this way. I was watching other people stay clean, Okay, you know how you can tell they stay clean? They keep going to the meetings and you see their life changing, you see their attitudes changing, you see all of that. You can see it, all right? Because when you start using, you may go to 1 or 2 meetings, then you say, I ain't going to this anymore because you're embarrassed, and you just disappear. We're good, disappearing. We're like magicians, okay? So that's why we do these podcasts. We're here to help you, okay? We don't make money from these podcasts, so if you think it's a money issue, no. This is about reaching out and helping another soul, another one of God's kids. You may think you're worthless. You may think you did such terrible things that nobody will ever forgive you. Maybe they won't forgive you. But you got to learn to forgive yourself. That's where the healing begins. And it takes time. All right? If you're still alive, okay, you have the ability to change. That's what I got.
I like it, and I love the point where it takes time to rebuild things or to build things. Some things aren't being rebuilt; they're being built for the first time because they weren't done. While everyone else was out there was building a life. I picture it this way, John. If you get a neighborhood and you got all these little lots, and you give everybody a little lot, and you say you get to build your house here. And this guy and this girl and this guy and this girl, they're all there and they're working every day. They're laying brick and they're building their house. And then there's the guy like me who's down the street who says, I'm not going to work today. I'm going to go sit at the bar. I'm going to go sit at the bar. I'm going to go sit at the bar. And then one day I wake up and say, I'm not going to do that anymore. I want to get better. And I show up and I'm feeling bad because everyone else has a house and I still got an empty lot. But they didn't build their house like that. It took them time. I've got to rebuild a life. Sometimes thinking about it that way, it's not like you took your time out. Now you're just kind of starting from where you left off, and you just got to build a life. It takes time to do anything like that. And if you have supportive people with you, that time goes by much faster. And guess what? A lot of laughter and fun and great things and love and everything else along the way when you have good people with you, right?
Well, it's interesting. It was really funny. I remember being an outpatient, and everybody wanted to go bowling. I says, bowling? I don't bowl. I says, okay, I'll go bowling with you guys. So we went bowling. I had more fun, okay. It wasn't about the bowl. It was just the comradeship. Everybody talking about their stuff and how they, how they feel and what's going on. And we were laughing, having a great time. And I said to myself, I never in a million years would have thought that I would have had fun with a group of people I don't really know too well, bowling. See, we addicts, we stay inside, we isolate, and we don't trust anything or anybody, okay? Because we say, nah, that's not going to work for me. Oh, that's no good. No risk, no gain. And that's what we have to learn, all right? Look at all the risk we take by the drug. You're doing drugs, you don't even know what's in it. Especially today with heroin, they got fentanyl in there, and I hear addicts all the time. Oh man, that's some good fentanyl. Yeah, it's real good fentanyl, man. You die that quick, all right? Because you got some moron mixing this stuff that doesn't know what he's doing. Okay, well, maybe he does know what he's doing. I can't figure out why they would want to kill their clients. Okay, don't they want to make money off of us drug addicts? I mean, they're idiots. All right, and we're idiots because we take it, and it's sad. There's so many. 70,000 people last year died of an overdose. 70,000 people. Oh my God! All right, I mean, so unnecessary. It really is. You keep trying to run away from your pain, your anguish. All right, feel like life just doesn't work for you. No, if you think that way and you act that way, you're right. It doesn't work for you. You're 100% correct. But that doesn't mean you can't change it. And like Scott said, yeah, it takes time. How much time? I don't know. It's different for all of us. But you have to at least, be in the right direction. Get support. You're not going to find anybody in those rooms perfect. All right? Because we're all there, sick people trying to get well. All right? So stick with the winners. And you'll know who they are. You'll see. And just because somebody has a lot of time doesn't mean they're a winner either. They might be a winner in one area, but they haven't changed their life. Okay? You can tell who's who. And what you want to do is you want to just stay on that path. And if you can't afford therapy, okay, there's a lot of organizations that you can get therapy at no charge. And if you don't like your therapist, just like if you don't like your drug dealer, change them. I mean, really. I mean, if guys tell me bad shit, I'm not going back to him over and over again. I'm going to find somebody else. And it's the same thing with therapists. I hear guys say, well, that therapy stunk. I went to therapy so many times. That guy was not. Well, go to a different guy. Okay, find one. This is your life, not their life. Find someone that's going to help you. All right? There is somebody out. Somebody helped a stubborn guy like me who didn't think they had a problem. They had to do an intervention on me to get me to go to treatment. And the only reason I went to treatment is to get everybody off my back. I didn't need help as far as I was concerned. I was okay. But I wasn't okay. All right? I was getting more and more nuts, doing more and more crazy stuff. I wasn't okay. My mind was totally a mess. All right? But I was the last one to see it, just like probably all of you who have addictions. There is help. That's what we do here. If you want to know more about me, go to John, the letter J, Giordano.com. All right? And look me up and see how I changed. All right? I was this drug dealing guy, do collection work for the smugglers, all the things that I did, okay? And I turned myself completely around. Only went to the 9th grade, went back to school when I got into recovery. Listen, guys, I didn't go to school for 25 years. I went to get my GED. I was scared to death. All right? And I used to tell people, I'm not afraid of anybody because I'm a big, tough karate guy. Bullshit. I was afraid of anything. I was afraid of people knowing that I couldn't spell very well. Okay? There was a lot of things I was afraid of that I didn't even realize. I didn't want anybody to know I only went to the 9th grade. But through recovery and through help and through therapy and through looking at me instead of everybody else, okay, I changed. And then eventually I became a therapist. And I love what I do because I'm helping people to help themselves. That people helped me to help myself. See, I don't fix anyone. All I do is give you the instructions. You got to read them and follow your directions, not yours. All right? And all I'm doing is giving you my life experience and experiences from, I've been doing this, I'm clean 36 years, about 34 years, treating addicts, alcoholics, and all kinds of addictions. All right? All kinds of trauma work. Let me tell you something. There's no better high than watching a person change their life and going in the right direction. It's the best high I ever had in my entire life. And all of you can do this. I know it seems like you can't, all right? But you can. And I can't make you believe me. All I can do is set the best example I can. I'm not perfect. I'm still crazy as ever. Right, Scott?
Yeah.
But we're here to help you. Scott and I, this is what we do, and this is why we do it. And if you really think it has some value, give us a like, follow us, whatever that thing is on YouTube and all this stuff to get more people to watch, have your friends watch it. They might have people that are suffering from depression and anxiety and addiction. Just reach out and help somebody by showing them this podcast.
In the meantime, don't forget to check out John's website, johnjgiordano.com. And there's a lot of information on there. There's some video series that he's done before. Certainly there's access to his written material, his books and publications, and his contact information. So please, if you'd like to learn more, that's a good place to start. And John's always available to help people and talk to people. And again, we put it out there for that reason, is just to spread information and hopefully open up a few eyes and maybe just confirm some things that you were concerned concerned about or thinking anyway. But and if you have any suggestions, you can certainly go on the website and reach out to us and let us know what you'd like us to talk about. If you've got some suggestions for topics or questions that you have that need to be answered, you can do that right there too.
And then let's remember, the addict is not the only one suffering. The people that love you are suffering also. And they need to get help too. So that's for people out there, the family members, the significant others. You need to get help because you're addicted to the addict. Okay? And yeah, you could say, well, I don't want to talk to them anymore. I don't do that. Yeah, but then if something happens to them, you're going to blame yourself. People say, well, I'm not going to blame them. You do. Okay? And so everybody in that system needs to get help. Not just the addict, but the people that are around that addict. Those loved ones, the mothers, the wife, the fathers, the sisters, the brothers. Everybody needs to get help and understand this horrible disease. So that's all we got today, guys.
I want to thank everybody for joining us. John, pleasure as always. You've been watching Beat Your Addiction with John Giordano. And once again, subscribe to our channel and like us and share us with your friends. JohnJGiordano.com for more information.
Okay, and they can get I have a couple of books. If you want my life story, is The Kid from the South Bronx Who Never Gave Up. That's The Kid from the South Bronx Who Never Gave Up. You can get it on Amazon, or How to Beat Your Addictions and Live a Quality Life. Give it a shot.
Your next book should be The Kid from the South Bronx Who Learned to Bowl.
That's it. You're right.
No, actually, good writings there. You want to check that out and all the other publications. All right, for now, thank you for joining us. We'll catch you next time right here on Beat Your Addiction.
All right, adios.